Thank you, Madeline and Chris. I will now call this meeting to order for December 15th, 2025, the Huntington County Community Schools Board of Trustees, and move on to A4, roll call. Mrs. Gray.
Mr. Allen?
Here.
Mr. McClellan is absent. Mr. Melcher?
Here.
Mr. Wall?
Here.
Mr. Carl? Here. Mrs. Miller? Here. Mr. Thompson?
Here. Thank you, Mrs. Gray. Move on to A5, revisions of the agenda. Mr. Brimberry, do we have any revisions?
Yes, Mr. Allen, we have two this evening. Number one, I would like permission to add to item G, consent agenda 6, personnel report, new classified staff, Nika Hobbs, paraprofessional Andrews, effective December 3rd. Number two, add to item G, consent agenda 6, personnel report, certified staff, rescind the resignation of Brianna Kiefer, adjunct teacher, applied skills Salamone, that was board approved 11/24/25 and effective 12/19/25. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brimberry. I'll entertain a motion to accept these revisions.
Motion to revise.
Thank you, Mr. Melcher.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Wall. Any questions or comments before we vote? Hearing none, we'll vote on accepting these revisions. Motion passes 6-0. We'll move on, so the revisions are adopted. Move on to B1, financial reports, November 2025. Mrs. Babcock.
Yes, hello. Good evening, everyone. So I'd like to cover the financial reports for November 2025. And as you can see, the reports are the same consistent reports that you're used to seeing. I wanted to keep those consistent for you moving forward, as they have a lot of great details in them for you. And looking at the summary statement of revenues and expenditures for the education fund, you'll see we're right on trend with where we need to be as far as what was planned accordingly to the budget. You will notice that we do have a little bit more of our revenues, our expenses are higher than our revenues. That's something to be mindful of, but I believe that was the intent for this particular school year. Moving forward, we'll need to keep an eye on that. Moving on to the debt service page of that summary statement of revenues and expenditures. You'll see there's just slight movement in that, and that is some revenue with the CFAT and FIT revenue that was received. Moving forward, according to the state legislative changes, that revenue will have to be receipted into the operations fund unless legislators change that in the near future. So as of right now, everything's on trend with that. Our big expenditures will come out the end of this month for the debt service fund. Moving on to our operations fund. As you can see, then we're again right on trend with that on where we had planned to be. There are definitely still some expenditures coming out of there higher than our revenue as projected, but as you know, property tax revenues come in twice a year. So we'll be anticipating that property tax revenue coming in December. So you'll see an influx in the cash balance on that particular fund. And everything's just on trend with that. As far as the rainy day fund, there is no movement in that. That is consistent with how it has been in the last several months. Moving on, we will cover the education and fund historical comparison reports for your review. And as you can see, for the operations fund, we are ending cash balance of $1,405,661, which is slightly up from last year at this time. And then for our education fund, moving on to that one, we are at $15,266,742 cash balance as of November for this particular year. As to compared to last year, we were slightly lower, which is anticipated with some of the raises that we have coming out here in the next. Well, we'll actually see those in the next report. And that is all I have for your fund and trend reports associated with the financial report. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Mrs. Babcock. Any questions for her before we vote on the financial reports? Mr. Wall, you're disappointing me.
It's our first meeting. I'm being nice.
Thank you.
You did great, thank you. I'll entertain a motion, reference accepting the financial reports.
Make a motion to approve the financial reports as presented for November 2025.
Thank you, Mr. Wall. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Melcher. Any further questions or comments before we vote? It's great to have you on board, Mrs. Babcock.
Thank you.
Hearing none, we'll vote on the motion. Motion passes 6-0. We'll move on to B2, request to pay 2025 year-end bills. Mrs. Babcock.
Yes, this is just a formality for actually this item and the very next item are just some formalities for the end of year process for State Board of Accounts compliance piece. So at this point, I request permission to pay the 2025 year-end bills as presented.
Thank you, Mrs. Babcock. I'll entertain a motion, reference this request.
Make a motion to approve the paying of our 2025 year-end bills as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Wall. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Melcher. Any questions before we vote? Hearing none, let's vote on the motion. Motion passes 6-0. Moving on to B3, request to make 2025 year-end transfers. Mrs. Babcock.
Yes, again, this is part of the requirement through SBOA, State Board of Accounts, that we need to make transfers within our applicable funds, so the education fund or the operations fund, to clear out any additional appropriations or over expenditures within those certain line items. And this allows us to do so to close out the books properly for 2025. And so I request approval to make those year-end transfers.
Thank you, Mrs. Babcock. I'll entertain a motion to reference this request.
Make a motion to approve the 2025 year-end transfers as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Wall. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Miller. Any questions for Mrs. Babcock before we vote?
I believe I know the answer to Ms. Babcock, but this is just to basically bring line items up to zero, not have them in the negative. And this is not anything between like the education fund and the operations fund. This is all solely in the individual funds, correct?
That is correct.
Anything further for Mrs. Babcock before we vote? Hearing none, let's vote on the request. Motion passes 6-0. Move on to B4, AIC TRECS Clearinghouse Letter of Agreement 2026. Mrs. Babcock.
Yes, I am requesting approval to move forward with the TRECS agreement as presented. TRECS is it's called Tax Refund Exchange Compliance System, in case someone was wanting to know what TRECS stood for. And that is a process where school corporations and government entities can utilize if we have uncollectible debt, such as textbook, device fees, lunch debt, those sort of things, where we can file that through the TRECS program, and it'll come out of the parent or guardian, legal guardian's state refund, if they have any. And so I'm requesting approval of this TRECS program, agreement, to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Babcock. I'll entertain a motion. Reference this.
I recommend the approval of the AIC TRECS Letter of Agreement, Registration and Participation for 2026 as presented.
Thank you, Mrs. Miller. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Melcher. Any questions before we vote?
This is for either Mrs. Babcock or Mr. Brumberry. Do we have much need for this as much as we used to in the past, or is this just for, how often do you think we're going to use this?
I'll comment. It certainly went down because of the state's change in the textbooks in terms of not charging parents. So a lot of our situations now are due sometimes to devices and things like that, but it is not frequently used and certainly not at the rate it used to be used here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brimberry. Any further questions before we vote? Let's vote on the motion. Motion passes 6-0. We'll move on to C1 special presentation. We're honoring District 3 Trustee Service. The board, we would like to recognize Carrie Heim for her time as serving the Huntington County Community Schools District 3 Trustee. During her time on the Board of Trustees, Carrie was always a strong voice in support of our teachers and students. In addition, the board commends her for her courage and honesty in discussions on sensitive matters and her dedication while serving our district. Thank you, Carrie, very much. We appreciate you and wish you all the best in the future. If you could come up here, we have something to present you. Thanks again, Carrie Heim. Moving on to C2, special presentations, update on the 2025-2026 English Learners Program.
Mr. Allen, Board, I'm thrilled to have with us tonight our Director of our EL program, Angie Grube. Angie was asked for the academic portion of our program, which we'll try to have something each and every board meeting for you that's about 10 minutes or so based on academics, something to do with strategic plan that we'll bring forward. So I know Mr. Peters would have wanted to be here tonight as well, but he has certainly was a big part of this too, working with Angie. But Angie, thank you for being here tonight. It is I call it a pocket of excellence. We have so many things to be proud of at Huntington Schools, and your program and leadership is certainly one of the highlights of many. So thank you for being here tonight and presenting.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your time tonight. I always welcome the chance to talk about this program. It means so much to me. So 6 months ago, I presented to the board to request the opportunity to provide more intentional and personalized service for our elementary EL learners. This evening, I would like to share an update on that work and also share with you an overview of what our secondary program looks like as well. Currently, we have 143 identified English learners from kindergarten through 12th grade in our school system. That number will grow by 3 as soon as we return from Christmas break. I just enrolled 3 additional students, 2 at middle school and 1 at high school. So right now, our numbers stand at elementary. We have 74 students. Middle school is 31, soon to be 33, and at the high school, 38, but soon to be 39. Additionally, we currently have 14 what I like to call potential English learners in our preschool program at Lincoln Elementary. So about half of those students will become kindergartners in the 26-27 school year, and so that our programming just continues to grow. Sure.
How has that number increased throughout the last couple of years?
So we have almost doubled in size. My projected number for this year was around between 155 to 160. We did have a few families move out of the district that I wasn't kind of expecting, but we've stayed steady. And so I think when I first took over, if I'm remembering correctly, our number was 72. And so that was just a couple years ago. So we continue to grow, which makes me very happy. And I feel like that is attributed to the teachers that I have working alongside us, not just our English learner teachers, but our general education teachers offering the great support and welcomeness that they do to our students. So
Thanks
thank
for
you.
that.
No problem. I'd like to first start with Lincoln because that was my big ask for last year. I had 4 big components that I wanted to tackle, and probably the greatest one that meant the most to me was our loss of instructional time. When I talked to you in May, I told you we were losing 90 hours a year just in drive time because we had one teacher who was traveling to 4 schools. Now, all of our English learners at the elementary level, for the most part, I do have a couple pockets that I'll talk about here in a second, but they are at Lincoln. I now have 3 English learner teachers who can service those 74 students. So we're also able to break that down so that they can be very intentional in the grade levels that they're servicing, which just heightens the experience both for the teachers and the students. We are now averaging approximately 110 minutes a week of service time for those students. Last year, our average was 65 minutes. The state requires us to service 120 minutes of work or a week, and so we are just below that, but that is attributed to I do still have one teacher who does have to travel. We have a student at Salamone, a student at Horseman because of additional programming that they receive, and then we also have some students at Riverview, but after this year that will no longer be the case with the Riverview students. They will be transitioning to Huntington North. We were able to, with your approval, hire another elementary EL teacher, and so we welcomed Kylie Hermanson to the EL team, and she is servicing students. She is a teacher that travels and services those pockets that we just can't have those students at Lincoln because of other programming. Our increased ability to collaborate is amazing. Our EL teachers at Lincoln are now able to talk and collaborate and plan with the general education teachers on a daily basis. And that was just something we didn't have prior to that move. And so great things are happening. I was at Lincoln actually 3 times today. And I love when I walk in and see the teachers together saying, here's what we could try, here's what's working. And so that just is a benefit for the teachers and for the students. And then professional development opportunities. I've already had the privilege to lead 2 professional developments at Lincoln this year. And then Kylie Hermanson is going to lead one for me in January. So that's just something also we haven't had the opportunity to do because of the spread across the district in the past. So it has been a great and impactful thing to have those students at Lincoln Elementary. In the beginning, I'm not going to lie, when Mrs. Yarger and I went out the day after you approved for us to make this switch and started visiting families, and we started with the trickier ones first, and they were tricky, and that was okay. And we had an open house where we welcomed families, and it was a little bit of a difficult experience for me. Some families were a little hesitant, and I understood. But then I have had overwhelming response to, you were right. This is what's best for my student. My student is growing. My student is engaged, immersed, and we can come together as a whole group to really do what's best for kids. And so that was the end game for me, and I feel like we're achieving that. And so thank you. I will talk quickly just about per grade level. In kindergarten to first, we have 28 students. On average, they receive 40 minutes of service per day from Annette Little, who is our K-1 teacher, and that averages out to 200 minutes per week, so well above what they are required to receive from the state. For second and third grade, Miss Michaela Mahar takes care of those students. We have 28 students in that grouping, and they receive about 45 minutes of instruction per day, which averages out to 225 minutes per week. Again, a great increase above the 120 minutes that they are required to receive service. And then Ms. Hermanson, like I said, hers looks a little bit different because she does travel between the schools for me still. She has 17 students on her caseload. Those students at Lincoln still receive an average of 30 minutes per day, so they're getting their 120 minutes of service per week. And like I said, that is with her traveling between Lincoln, Salamone, Horseman, and Riverview. Next, I'd like to talk about Crestview. Crestview will grow by 2 students. 1 new 6th grader is coming in January and 1 new 7th grader in January also. So currently we have 9 6th graders, 12 7th graders, and 9 8th graders. The one exciting thing about Crestview this year is they were able to implement a new curriculum designed specifically for English learners. And like when I taught at Crestview, I didn't have a structured curriculum to teach from. So this has been an amazing opportunity. And Ms. Rittenhouse, who is the teacher there, is doing a fantastic job implementing that curriculum, finding what works, what needs tweaked, how she can use it best with her students. But the one piece that has been most impactful, and that the kids at first were like, oh, Mrs. Grube, I'm not doing that. It's a program called Amira. It is AI-based, and the students read and speak to this AI tool, and it gives them feedback on pronunciation, on their reading fluency. It interacts with them and asks them questions about what they're reading. And so the reason we went with this program was because it has shown documented increase in the students' reading and speaking scores for their WIDA access testing, which will begin in January. So I'm hoping to see the dividends of that pay off when we receive those results in April. Another key highlight from Crestview is the participation of students in extracurriculars. It is overwhelming to them to come into a place where they do not always speak the same language as everyone else. They may not even speak the same language as the other English learner students. And so getting them to engage in additional opportunities is sometimes tricky. And so that's been something I really push and encourage. And I'm happy to say we have students on student council, we have students in Hope in the Middle, and we also have students participating in athletics such as football, wrestling, swimming, track, and soccer. So that has been a great thing to see. I want them to grow academically, but I want them to grow socially as well. And so that is that piece that helps get them there. Finally, as far as the schools are related, I'll talk about Huntington North. Huntington North is a unique experience for us this year. Mr. Ian Lindsay is our EL teacher at Huntington North, and he's also a math teacher. And so we worked with Dr. Dagetz to try something new this year. We have Ian teaching 2 math classes. He teaches an EL-focused geometry class and an EL-focused Algebra 2 class. And that is the same curriculum that all students in geometry and Algebra 2 would experience, but they have that additional support of Ian being able to help them with academic vocabulary and just that continued encouragement to grow and succeed and be successful as they continue on in their math careers. For the second year, we have the EL-focused English courses. Those are taught by Ruth Ann Rust and John Petrovich. Mr. Petrovich does the 9th and 10th grade. Mrs. Rust does the 11th and 12th grade. And again, the curriculum is the same as you would find in any 9th grade or 10th grade, 11th or 12th grade English class. It just offers an opportunity for additional support for those students, because when I first took over, that was the class kids were not passing. And they have to have 4 years of English to graduate. And so when I looked at something to fix that, I worked with Mrs. Rust, and she was instrumental in coming up with how that could work and what that would look like. And so those students can also earn service credit that we need to provide to them as outlined by the state, while receiving that English credit. And so it also gives them the opportunity to have some freedom in scheduling of classes. And speaking of freedom of scheduling, for the first time, we have students engaging in the CTE programming, and that was another big push for me. We have 9 students who have taken advantage of that programming for this year, whether they're at the Learning Center in JROTC or visiting Heartland. We have students loving those programs and being successful in those programs, and that means a lot to me. I want them to have all opportunities that any student would have. The one that's probably most special to me, we have a cadet teacher this year, and she was the cadet teacher for Mrs. Little at Lincoln, and she just finished her experience. She'll go to Andrews Elementary next to be in a kindergarten also, but not on the EL side of it. But it was great for our younger students, whether they were kindergartners up through 5th grade, to see Miss Maria Perez in those schools and doing her thing, and just seeing those kids see, wow, I can grow into that. I can become those things too. So a great opportunity and experience, and I thank Mr. Doherty for giving us the opportunity to do that. Real quick, I'll talk about our family nights, which we continue. We used to just do those 4 times a month. We now do them monthly because parents were like, oh, can we get information on this? Oh, we need these resources. Oh, and I thought, okay, if you're going to ask me all the time, we're just going to meet. And so it's a great opportunity. We bring in community members. We are doing in January, a local doctor has offered to supply first aid kits to our families and give them some information. We try to bring someone in to talk about summer programming, just anything parents. I send out a survey in usually June, July, asking what are things that you need. We always do a session on synchronous learning so they can see this is what it looks like at elementary, middle school, high school, and it just helps build those stronger connections, those stronger relationships. These are held at Lincoln, so if you ever want to come, just let me know and I'm happy to invite you. And I love that we can have them at Lincoln. I was always appreciative of the library, but when we're at Lincoln, I think that just also, since that's where a huge portion of our learners are located, it gets the parents in the school, and I think just breaks down that barrier of, oh, I don't know if I can come to the school. It just makes them feel more welcome, and so I love that opportunity as well. One final thing I'll discuss, we do offer adult English classes. We did those, well, by the time we finish this year, we're on a break right now, but we'll have done 36 classes this year. That's an increase from last year. We do those at Lincoln as well on Monday and Wednesday nights. Those are also supported by teachers that I get to volunteer. And this year we've had so many participants that we were able to level it. So we have a entering level, an intermediate level, and a higher level. And I work traditionally with the entering level students, but it's been an amazing opportunity to see people we worked with last year for just a short time come in, and just in conversation and assessment, they were able to go into the intermediate level, which means that what we did was working. And so it's another great way to make connections with parents. And I want parents, a lot of times they tell me the reason that they want these classes is so they can help their kids. And so that means so much to me. They want to do everything they can to make sure their students are learning and growing, and that means the world to me. So I want to leave you today with a short video that someone close to me produced this video. My daughter Abby worked with me to put this video together, and it just speaks to our program, and I hope that it touches your heart and lets you know how much we as a whole love our English learners in this district.
In Huntington County Community Schools, every student brings a unique story, and every story matters. Our mission is simple and powerful: intentional and personalized educational experiences for our English learners. From their first day in our schools, English learners receive instruction designed specifically for their needs, academically, socially, and linguistically. We meet students where they are so they can grow into confident readers, writers, thinkers, and leaders. We partner with families, honor cultures, and celebrate multilingualism because we know that language is an asset, not a barrier. Through intentional planning, innovative instruction, and caring relationships, we help each learner find their path to success. Our English learners enrich our classrooms and our community. Their languages, their perspectives, and their talents make us stronger. Huntington County Community Schools, providing intentional and personalized educational experiences for every English learner, because every student deserves to thrive. Every student, every day.
So again, I thank you for the opportunity to present to you tonight. Intentional and personalized instruction is what we strive for every day for every student. I do want to give a quick shout out to both Kaiden Kinningham, who is one of Mr. Butler's interns. He came in and did pictures for me that were in the presentation, and then Abby Grube, she is my daughter, it's a shameless plug, that she put the video together for me, and she said I could use the video, but I had to make sure I didn't cry when it was presented, and so I watched it a lot of times. So I'm like, okay, it's not going to make me cry. But if you have any questions, I'm welcome to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mrs. Grube. This is wonderful and inspirational. It's just great to see that every kid, truly every kid, every day. Did have a couple of questions. I wondered, so they start not knowing English. What is how hard is, I mean, I know it's a difficult language to learn, but is there expectations for certain levels to reach? And if they are kindergartners, they speak fluent by the time they're third graders, or?
Every student is different, so it just like any learner, the goal is, that's why I would love to find a way to bring every preschooler I can find. Annette Little has a knack for finding preschoolers everywhere. And so I would love the opportunity to have a focused preschool that could be an all-day program. That would be amazing. And the sooner we get them in and exposed to English, the quicker they pick it up. The earlier ages are obviously easier for them to show growth more rapidly. And so students that we may get like in the third, fourth grade or even higher, it does take a little longer because they are now not necessarily in classrooms learning to read, they're reading to learn. And so when you don't know how to do that in that language, it's an added layer, and we support those students with additional minutes, which we're now able to do more effectively at the elementary level. But I would say for most students, usually you look for them to gain and move toward more fluent English speaking within like a 3-4 year time period. But again, it may just depend. WIDA Access is the test that we use to assess proficiency in the state of Indiana. And so that runs on a scale of 1, which is your lowest, and then to a 6, which is your highest. In Indiana, once you reach a level 5, you are dismissed from the program, but then we monitor you for 2 years just to make sure everything is good. We do have the opportunity to exit students early that takes a lot of consideration on my part before I will do that. But we did exit 2 students for this school year. One, she will actually graduate in December. She'll be done. And then the other student is a student who is an elementary student. So I look for that to increase.
And how long did it take them to get it?
So the high school student, I would say it was 5 years. I would say it was 5 years, and the elementary student, it was 3. So, and they were both, the high school student was a 1/10 of a point away from having a level 5, which is automatic exiting of the program. And the elementary student was 3/10 of a point off. So I felt like based on that, there's documentation you have to have, triangulate this data, and then present it to the state for final approval. And that was the first time I'd ever done that. And so when they came back as yes, I was like, okay, then I think I do know what I'm doing with that. So I look for us to have a few more this year. But that's something I do. If it's a student moving like from 5th to 6th grade, that adds an extra layer for me, or if they're moving from 8th to 9th, because that's just a hard transition. So, and
Thank
I
you.
don't like them to leave.
No, I understand. Thank you. Any other questions for Mrs. Grube?
How are we helping the students that are below grade 3 work with the iRead stuff, and how does the EL program then interact with iRead?
Sure. So that's a great question. So that is why you saw in the presentation, our 2nd and 3rd graders do receive a little bit higher number of minutes because we want to be very intentional about supporting their move to having to take and pass that iRead test. For English learners in the past, a good cause exemption, like if they didn't pass the test, was an automatic. That's no longer true. Starting with this year, if you are an English learner, or this past school year, if you are an English learner, you are not just automatically handed a good cause exemption. There are certain guidelines that you have to meet, and one of those being you cannot have received more than 2 years of intentional instruction. So what I've started doing already is looking at our current 3rd graders to see who is going to fall into the potential ability to receive a good cause exemption. My goal is that they will pass and we won't have to worry about that, but I always want to have a plan. We did run summer school last summer for both the 2nd and 3rd grade English learners. 2nd grade didn't necessarily have to attend that, but they did. And so just using that information that we had from their summer school, and then moving through all the assessments they do, like the core assessments they do within the elementary, taking that data and sharing that out. That's why the collaborative piece is so important for us this year, so that Ms. Mahar, who is the 2nd and 3rd grade EL teacher, can be very intentional with the time that she has with them and give them additional time and support if needed.
Also is a great reason to get them in as soon as we can, correct?
Yes, it is. It is.
Mrs. Grube, we have so many things to be proud of in your program, but I will tell you from 2 years ago when I came to you with Mr. Peters and talked to you about that we need experts in the field leading, and that was you, and we need people who advocate passionately for their kids, and that is most definitely you, and I'm just so proud of what the program has become. We know that we're going to have to continue to look at resources to help you, your teachers, your kids, and your programming. But I just would tell you thank you for being here tonight. And it is a great way to start us out in December with an academic focus. At some of our meetings is just such a wonderful program that you have. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you all.
Thank you, Mrs.
very
Grube.
much.
Also, if you could include the board in your notices about family nights. I'd
Absolutely.
love to attend. Absolutely, I'm sure there's others
Absolutely,
that
we would love to
might
have
attend.
you.
So there's actually a school board group,
Okay,
so you can send it to all of us.
okay, perfect.
Aaron,
Thank
you
you
have
so
something?
much. Oh, sorry,
Aaron?
did you have a question?
I was just going to say, congratulations, don't hesitate. You come on up there and you give them their diploma if you want to again.
Yeah, that was one of probably my best moments ever.
And
We're
we-
going to have a decent-sized group graduating this year, and I'm excited to see them walk that
And
stage.
it was in both of your face and their face when they saw you, so yeah, come back on up. That's what we're here for.
Thank you. Did you have a question?
You made a comment about more than one language. How many languages do you take care of, and what are they?
So the majority of our students do speak Spanish, but we have probably almost an equal percentage that speak Chu, which is a Mayan dialect that I cannot speak. But some of those students actually speak Chu, Spanish, and then are learning English. And then we welcomed 2 students this year who speak Mandarin. And so that was interesting for me because I don't speak Mandarin, but I was texting with the mom in Mandarin, like I'd type it in English and then flip it to Mandarin. So when they came to enroll, she started speaking Mandarin to me. And I'm like, oh, I am so sorry. I do not speak Mandarin. I was texting on my phone. And she's like, oh, I speak English. I just thought you could speak Mandarin because you were texting in it. I'm like, no, that was just my phone. I'm not going to lie to you. So it's been intriguing to me because when I would first speak with either the high school student or the elementary student, I would instantly switch to Spanish and they'd kind of giggle. And I'm like, right, you don't speak that, sorry. And so I had to train my brain to remember it's okay to pull out a translator and talk with them that way. And so it's been amazing to have that opportunity for me because I was getting maybe a little lazy just assuming I could just speak Spanish all the time. So, yep, it's a great question. Thank you. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you, Mrs. Grube. So we'll move on to item D1, public comment. No one has signed up to speak to the board tonight, but if you would like to speak to the board, come up to the podium and state your name and tell us what you got to say. Knowing having come forward, we'll move on to item E1, HCCS and Ivy Tech Indiana College Core MOU 2026 through 2031. Dr. Daggett.
Good evening, everyone. I'm mostly here just to answer questions. I believe you've had the Memorandum of Understanding now for a few weeks, and in my absence, Ms. Lynn Brown did a tremendous job of sharing the strategy behind this initial step in a formal partnership with Ivy Tech. This initial step is outlined in the MOU is for the Indiana College Core. That would be implemented next school year, and then the anticipation is the following school year, which would be 2027-28, would be the full implementation of the associate's degree opportunity with Ivy Tech. The Indiana College Core is something that is a win across the board as well. It will benefit our students. That is one of the options for students that is interested in achieving the highest seal under the new diploma requirements, the Enrollment Honors Plus seal. That is one of the options there for students, and so we're pleased to be able to offer that through Ivy Tech. We're also gaining some information out of Indianapolis and the State Board of Education that there will likely be dollars available to school districts as the number of students that graduate with the Indiana College Core increase. And so there is no detractor here. The reason we chose Ivy Tech for this initial step and also for the associate's degree is because we simply were closest with them when it comes to the dual credit partners and the number of courses that we offer in partnership with Ivy Tech. And probably the biggest reason to benefit our students and their families and our demographics in the community, Ivy Tech offers their dual credit courses free of charge. And so that is available for our students and truly gives them the opportunity to accumulate a lot of dual credits free of charge by the time they graduate from Huntington North High School and have a leg up on their college pursuits when they choose to pursue that or if they choose to pursue that. So the memorandum is available for you to look at with potential approval. We would simply sign off on that and be able to set things into motion. With that, I would certainly entertain any questions that the board may have this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Daggett. Any questions for Dr. Daggett?
Just a comment. Since Lynn filled in so graciously for you the other night, I have been talking to parents, and there is a huge excitement from several parents out there to learn more about this and get this started. And the conversations of parents that basically you mean that they can get 2 years of college and not have to pay for it, That's a big win for this community, and I hope the community takes advantage of it when it comes through. I commend you and your staff and everybody involved in this, that this is going to be a huge win for our community. Even if they have no desire to go on college after that fact, just getting that associate's degree is going to be tremendously valuable to them in their future. So I commend you, your staff, and everyone for getting this going.
Thank you, and it's been a great team effort, and I apologize, I should have mentioned this as well. Sometimes there can be questions because Ivy Tech is a community college and offers predominantly two-year associate's degrees. Because this is a formal partnership that's through the Indiana College Core, all of those credits would transfer to Indiana's public universities, all four-year institutions. So whether it's main campus, IU, Purdue, Indiana State, et cetera, these programs, or excuse me, these credits would transfer directly one-to-one.
Thank you, Dr. Daggett. It is an amazing opportunity for our students and for our families in this community. So any further questions? I'll entertain a motion in reference to this approval.
I have a question.
Oh, go ahead, Aaron.
You have 18 classes listed here. Are we working on expanding that as well?
We are, and so the minimum requirement to meet the threshold for the Indiana College Core is to offer 15 credits through the same institution. And so with transitioning math to Ivy Tech for next school year, we exceeded that, but we've already had conversations about expanding that further, just to streamline that a little bit better for our students.
And the associate's degree that you're talking about, what is the actual degree in? Is it business?
It would be a general studies type of
Okay.
degree. Students wouldn't be able to necessarily concentrate just because of the breadth of what's offered and the fact that they would simultaneously be earning a high school diploma at the same time. But essentially that allows them to springboard and keep their options completely open for what they might choose to should they elect to go to a four-year school after that.
Thank you, Mr. Carl. I'll entertain a motion in reference to this approval.
Recommend approval of the HCCS and Ivy Tech College Core Memorandum of Understanding for 2026 through 2031 as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Wall. Is there a second?
I second that.
Thank you, Mrs. Miller. Any other questions before we vote? Hearing none, we'll vote on this approval. Motion passes 6-0. We'll move on to E2 HNHS New Course Proposals 2627. Dr. Daggett.
Thank you again. I did visit last board meeting and share just a real preliminary look at these, and I believe the board members have had these for quite some time. As a reminder, these are 18 new course or retitled course proposals for next school year. You will note there are a couple of them that help position us for the Indiana College Core with Ivy Tech. These position us well to not only expand our offerings for electives, but they also put us in a position to provide a little bit broader experience in terms of cores. So some of these are core academic areas like math, and there's a little bit creative elective opportunities such as AP drawing. And so we are pleased to be able to do this and hopefully add these to our program of studies. The reason that we're asking for these at this time and so early is because we want to be able to update our program of studies here yet in December, because our guidance counselors will be scheduling with our seniors soon upon our return in January, and then work through returning students, finally scheduling with current 8th graders at the middle schools in February. And so that's the reason for our timing of asking for this in December. So I believe with this second reading there will be consideration by the board, but I would be happy to entertain any questions for this as well.
Thank you, Dr. Daggett. I'll entertain a motion in reference to this item first.
Motion to approve the new Huntington North High School courses for 26-27.
Thank you, Mr. Melcher. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Wall. Any questions or comments before we vote?
can you just explain the process of, I know you talked about it last time, but just reiterate again how these are identified, and then once we approve them, how does the class then become a class?
Sure, great question. We do make sure that we have a structured process for it. So initially, one of our teachers or a staff member is the one that develops the proposal. We really encourage them to work with their department chairs on that and the administration because we see big picture and understand where our staffing levels are and those types of things. At the end of the day, we just want them to be able to invest their time, energy, and effort in a manner that's beneficial and productive. And so it starts there. Once they develop a proposal, we vet that through our policy committee. Our policy committee is composed of teachers within the building representing the various departments within the school. A teacher chairs that, but we certainly have myself and other administrators that are a part of that. Once it's considered through the policy committee and approved, then administration sits down and vets that further, engages with the teacher that proposed it to make any clerical adjustments, any cleanup that might be necessary, any clarifications. And then, as you all know, it's brought to the board for a first reading and then ultimately an action item. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be taught next school year. After this point, assuming these are approved this evening, they will be added to our program of studies, which is an important step. It puts them out publicly. It lets everybody know that they are available. But then I'll use the phrase natural selection, right? If students don't sign up for it, the course simply won't be offered. Or if there are not enough students that sign up for it, it won't be offered. And for each course, there's not a magic number. It can vary. Higher level courses such as advanced placement have the potential to be offered with a smaller number. Introductory courses usually take a little bit higher threshold so that we don't see the ripple effect of having super large class sizes in other subject areas. And that's really a year-to-year process. So there is the potential that a course could be offered next school year, but then not the following year if demand or interest wanes. But we do keep it on our books. We do not take a course out of our program of studies without kind of going in reverse with that process through the teacher, departments, policy committee, and the board.
So that was going to be my follow-up question, so I'm going to ask you to expand upon that. We've added classes today. At some point, will you ever bring a list of classes to us that we're going to remove from that course of study?
So my understanding is that was done a few years back under previous administration. I believe it may have been under Mr. Gilg's leadership as principal, where it was cleaned up, where courses that had not been offered in several years were taken out. There are some interesting state statutes where, to my knowledge, there are certain courses such as Indiana Historical Studies, never been offered, but under state statute, we have to have them listed and offer it. It's an elective, it's student selection and student choice, but we make sure that we satisfy all compliance issues and state statutes by offering it, and then students choose to or not. So we would not clean those up unless the statute would change. But otherwise, if there are courses that become obsolete, we no longer have the equipment to teach in a worthwhile manner, or they just don't have interest anymore, then we would bring those back.
The things you learn by asking a few questions. Thank you so much tonight, sir.
Correct.
Thank you, Mr. Wall. Anything further for Dr. Diggins? All right, then let's vote on this item. Motion passes 6-0. Move on to F1, request to approve teacher contracts 2025-2026. Mr. Brimberry.
Mr. Allen and board, previous experience as superintendent, there were two parts. The board and the association and the superintendent would approve the teacher contract, and then at some point, when the new contracts based on those raises were completed, they would bring the actual contract to the board as a formality for approval for State Board of Accounts. Checking with our CFO, Mrs. Babcock, that is her advice as well. So tonight, I have brought forward to you the actual teacher contracts. I know you've had the option to look at those and review. I would also comment that sometimes this is also a time that the superintendent will say, during the process of negotiations or an audit or so on, an internal audit, there might be minor corrections made to contracts, and what, between Mr. Trout and the Teachers Association and our central office, there were a few teachers that were off by 1 year of experience. Those corrections are on their new contract, and I appreciate that team, John Bordeaux, one of the presidents of the association, working with central office to try to make sure this is right. And so that is in there as well. One other item that was discussed in association and with Mr. Trout and his team was Taylor Herendine, the Director of Guidance at Huntington North High School, does a wonderful job, and both were trying to put a process in where she would be removed eventually from the bargaining unit. And I say that because there is a process you have to follow preemptively to negotiations to do that. So both sides agreed that in the future we'll bring that to you in the formal process. I've talked to Mr. Scudder on how to get that done for next year, but also just know that her contract has been moved at a higher scale, and both sides agreed to that. So tonight should be an annual process that each year you receive the teacher contracts, and each year you get a chance to vote on the actual contract. So I recommend that for your approval tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Brimberry. I'll entertain a motion in reference to this item.
Motion to approve the 25-26 teachers' contracts as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Melcher. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Wall. Any questions before we vote?
Not specifically about the teacher contracts, but then do we also have to do the same thing for the classified staff as well? Or is that a different thing because it's not a contract?
Yeah, at this point, I've been recommended between Mr. Scudder and CFO to bring the teacher ones forward. I will follow up with that question, Ryan. Thank you.
Anything else before we vote?
And I believe we discussed that the bus drivers were already taken care of, but that's the only other contracting unit
Yep,
that we need to
we're
talk
good
about,
there.
right?
Yep, thank you.
Hearing none, let's vote on this item. Motion passes 6-0. We'll move on to item F2. This is compensation for the interim superintendent. The board is going to follow precedent that has been set over previous interim periods in the past, and is voting to provide additional compensation to Mr. Brimberry for the extra responsibility he's assumed while serving as interim superintendent. The board greatly appreciates the extra effort he's giving to HCCS, and after a challenging weather-related start to December, we're all hoping for a very early spring. The recommendation is to add $125 per day in recognition of the additional duties and responsibilities associated with the interim superintendent role. The effective date for this additional stipend is November 27th of 2025. Is there any questions? I'm sorry, I'll entertain a motion references first.
Make a motion to approve the stipend as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Wall. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Carl. Any further comments or questions before we vote?
Thank you for showing up. I was worried after that start that you wouldn't be here tonight, so thank you also to the team that you have helping you get everything done.
Fantastic.
Yeah, we've noted that you've brought bad weather, so we do appreciate the effort, though.
Thank you.
Anything further before we vote? Okay, let's vote on this item. Motion passes 6-0. Moving on to Is that going to be F3?
Yeah.
Central office and other support staff, Mr. Brimberry.
Mr. Allen and Board, I make a recommendation tonight for your consideration of action vote that we are truly a team, and past precedent where there's a lot of duties that get delineated when these situations occur. Following past precedent, my recommendation is Mrs. Lockmeyer, Mrs. Gray, Mr. Peters, and Dr. Diggetts receive the compensation that reflects past precedent that we've done in the previous times that I've stepped in. And I would also want to compliment them. They have been truly amazing in our first maybe 3 weeks together with Mr. McLaughlin and Mr. Trout, both no longer with us. It has been a team effort here, and we are blessed in Huntington. This fine young lady to my left, as well as Mrs. Lockmeyer, Dr. Diggetts has been instrumental as we rely on him in a variety of things, from construction to making sure we're consulting back and forth on with key stakeholders. And I appreciate, Russ, your leadership as well. And Mr. Peters is back in doing some K-12, and certainly wishes he could have been here tonight. I talked to Jay today, and so my recommendation is what you've reviewed for central office and other support staff compensation during the time of the process of interim superintendent, effective from the November 27th as well.
Thank you, Mr. Brimberry. I'll entertain a motion reference this.
Recommend approval of the central office and other support staff compensation as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Wall. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you, Mrs. Miller. Any questions or comments before we vote?
I just want to say to all of that staff that we appreciate everything we do. I know money doesn't always help everything, but we do really see what you guys are all doing, and we do appreciate that. So thank you.
Amen. Anything further? Let's vote on this. Motion passes 6-0. Moving on to the consent agenda, items G1 through 12. Mr. Brimberry.
Board, for your consideration and action item tonight, we have a number of items on there. I know that Jay would want me to mention on the field trip that how it has taken place, but the Soil Judgers had another very good year, and he's very proud of that program. You can see the professional leave request, our adjunct and mentor teacher agreements, which you're used to seeing. Number 9, I will draw your attention to. Previously, during the recommendation for raises, there was an item that had that came through on busing language that needed corrected. I appreciate Vanessa and her leadership working with Candace to correct this, and the reason it needed corrected was it was in minor conflict on language with the transportation handbook. Both sides agree that the information you've been presented should be corrected and is accurate, and we apologize that that came through earlier in the school year for that. I'd also draw your attention to number 10. With Mr. Trout gone and Mr. McLaughlin earlier in the superintendent succession plan, I would tell you that it will go from me, and if any reason I was unavailable, Mr. Peters. If any reason Mr. Peters was unavailable, it would go to Dr. Diggetts in terms of any key decision-making within the district. I appreciate both of those gentlemen and their leadership skills and their knowledge, and I feel very comfortable making that recommendation. I would also request on number 11, I know you've had access to those, but we are truly blessed. I've been here back 4 years, and I'm amazed at the amount of generosity in this community that is given towards our kids, our programs, our teachers, and our corporation. There's numerous different opportunities on there that will benefit our kids, and I greatly appreciate all the donations for your approval tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Brimberry. I'll entertain a motion reference the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Wall. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Melcher. Any questions or comments before we vote?
Appreciate.
Go ahead.
You first. Mine's quick. I just appreciate Mr. Brimberry getting that succession plan in place so everyone knows what's going on and how that process will roll down, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm curious by nature. The Brianna Kiefer, who rescinded her resignation, is there a reason why? What?
Yes, it's my understanding, she was, you're talking about our Salamone. She was one of our adjunct teachers. There's a lot of schooling that goes with that, and that process was reflected on by her. I know Mr. Peters and Elizabeth Kitchen has talked to her extensively, and she is excited to start those classes as required as the adjunct and is glad to be back. So thank you for the question, too. Good question.
Any further questions or comments before we vote? Hearing none, let's vote on the consent agenda. Motion passes 6-0. Moving on to H1, Facilities Update, Award of HNHS Window Replacement Project Bid. Mr. Brimberry.
Mr. Allen and Board, for your consideration tonight, Mr. Thornsberry is actually at another district. He doesn't just work for Huntington, so we have proof now that Terry goes to other districts, and he is at their board meeting tonight. Mr. Hurdle would normally present this, and he is under the weather, like many people are, so we're hoping Rich gets better. I will read you Terry's recommendation on this process. As Terry Thornsberry from Viridian Architectural Design previously presented, the HNHS window replacement project includes the replacement of the windows along the front of the building at Huntington North, at the doors 10 and 34, in the cafeteria, and in the athletic hallway going back to the arena. The project includes the complete replacement of the existing curtain wall window frames. The new windows will be 1-inch insulated glass with a 3mm safety film for added security. All new doors and associated hardware will be reinstalled back to their original locations. For this project, we received 5 bids. The lowest bid at the time being from Allen County Builders, who's done a lot of work for us in Huntington and has done very well, at $922,000. After the bidding process, it was discovered that Allen County Builders made a mistake and did not include the cost of the roofing portion of the project from the approved roofing contract for this project. With that being said, Allen County Builders withdrew their bid and apologized for their oversight. The second lowest bid was from CME Construction in the amount of $958,000. This includes a $150,000 project contingency. That's normal in these size projects. This project is scheduled to start once school is out at the end of this school year in May. The project should be completed in the fall of '26. It is recommended that you accept the bid from CME Construction in the amount of $958,000. For the board's information too, that was actually under what Terry estimated that might come in at, so that's a huge positive for us on the bid that we received.
Thank you, Mr. Brimberry. I'll entertain a motion, reference this item.
Make a motion to approve CME construction for the HNHS window replacement project as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Wall. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Melcher. Any questions or comments before we vote on this?
What, can you remind us what Terry's estimate was? I forget.
I think high end when he originally came, and I'd have to check the notes, but I think he was hoping for 1.1 or less. And so I think that's true, and I will get back with you on that, Aaron, and follow up.
I think I remember that too.
Yeah, that was the bond we just approved, correct?
Yeah, that was one of the multiple projects that you just approved. Many of those projects will begin this summer. If you remember other projects on that list being considered, painting of North Arena ceiling, you had HVAC, and that will probably be 27 at Horace Mann. You had some tuck point. You had some vestibules for all the 3 elementary schools. Those will begin late spring or early summer and be completed soon. So that was a part of your latest bond for our district, and Terry's now going through each one on the bid process.
will we call that the 2025 GEO bond? Is that what we're going to
That
call
was it, yeah.
All right, good.
Any further questions or comments? Alrighty, let's vote on this item. Motion passes 6-0. Moving on to I-1, board appointments for the Huntington City-Township Public Library Trustee. I will just quickly let you know that Scott McElhaney has been asked to be considered as the next library trustee and stated his support of the library in a letter to the board. Part of this letter says, "To me, the library isn't just a font of knowledge. It's a local hub that provides an invaluable service to the community. It's a safe space for children, a gathering place for community organizers, a place for those without internet to assist with finding employment or to help with school assignments, and sometimes simply a place to step out of the cold. The library is one of the most important and essential community resources our city has, and if I'm granted the honor of serving on its board, these descriptors will always be in the forefront of my mind with every decision put forward." He appreciates the consideration, and with that, I will make the recommendation that we approve him as the next library board trustee. And I'll entertain a motion to that effect.
Motion to approve Scott McElhaney as the Huntington City Township Public Library Trustee.
Thank you, Mr. Melcher. Is there a second? Thank you, Mrs. Miller. Any questions or comments before we vote?
Just a reminder how we go about and get individuals to do that. I just happen to know, I happened to be at county council the last time they had, and they actually had 2 individuals apply for the seat. So I was surprised that we only had 1.
I am too, and I believe it is just advertised.
Nope.
Go ahead.
Say I can shed a little light on that, and that's been
Thank you.
different from time to time depending on the Board of Trustees. Currently, I usually receive a call email from the director of the library telling me they have persons interested or a person interested, and most of the time recently it's been just one person, so that's been the recommendation. Previously, we have put that out as an advertisement, advertised in the newspaper, and let the public, know that's coming up. And any letters of interest would come into our office.
This one, I think at this point is done, but I would love to have a conversation at a work session in the near future to maybe look at that process and see if we can figure out a way of getting more people involved. Because it was nice at county council to hear 2 people get up and talk about that and have a conversation and then have a choice. And it would also be nice if at some point, I know the county council does, I know the county does it as a whole, but maybe we have a list of those appointments and who they are and when they're up, so we can kind of proactively have an idea of when that is. Why am I not
Keep a
surprised?
listing of all of the appointments that this board is responsible for, and I keep a list of the individual that's in that seat and what their term is, so I always have an idea when those are coming up. And a reminder on my calendar, so.
Do we or could we, because I know Kenny is working on a new website at some point, maybe under school board, have that listed as under maybe like an appointments area or something like that, just have that listed?
That's a great idea.
Definitely something that maybe we discussed during the working
Sure.
session.
Yeah, that's something we could take a look at.
Yeah,
being on the
appreciate it.
school board
Kenny gave a
location.
thumbs up.
Sorry, Kenny, I wasn't paying attention to you. I was talking to Cindy, but thank you for that thumbs up.
Yeah, I agree with you, Mr. Wall. I will tell you that Mr. McElhaney reached out to me at my workplace, and I spoke with him and told him that to reach out to the library leadership and tell him about his interest. I actually anticipated a few more, but I like the idea of having them maybe even come here and speak with us, not necessarily as an interview, but just tell us what their support is.
I didn't envy the county council the night that they had to choose their library representative, because both of them were excellent candidates, and it was nice to hear them. So I just want to try to get more people involved if they are so interested.
Anything further before we vote? All right, let's vote on this item. Maybe. No, it's not behind. So I need to reload it? That's what I'm doing. I'm jumping back in here.
Make sure your Wi-Fi is on AD also, just double check that. Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
Join the meeting. There you go.
No, man. Thank you. Motion passes 6-0. Move on to items of discussion by board members. We would like to talk a little bit about the superintendent search and a little update from the board. I'm just going to read the statement that we're going to be posting online here after the meeting. Huntington County Community School Corporation Board of Trustees has begun the search for our next superintendent. The board is working in partnership with the Indiana School Boards Association, or ISBA, and our school board attorney to conduct this search. ISBA provides superintendent search services and governance support to school boards across Indiana. The application process will open after the first of the year. Applications will be accepted throughout the month of January 2026 using the ISBA online application portal. After the application window closes, the board will begin interviews. Our current timeline targets spring break as the point when a candidate for superintendent may be identified. Selecting a superintendent is one of the board's most important responsibilities. Community input matters in this process. A public survey will be released in January to gather feedback and priorities from community members. The board will continue to provide updates as the search moves forward. Updates will be shared during public board meetings and through the corporation's website and social media channels. We are excited, honestly, about this opportunity, and it is the most important thing that the board does. We oversee the superintendent, and we approve a lot of the things that the administration and the teachers and schools would like to do. But finding that leader is our number one job. So we take this very seriously, and as I said earlier, we will be asking for input from the community. There will be surveys put out, and we are anxious to hear from the community and what their thoughts are. So if those out there watching get some of these surveys or opportunities, please let us know what you think. It's important to know where we stand and what the thoughts of the community are as we move forward. Anything else for the good of the board?
I just want to, again, call out Cindy Gray and Kenny Butler. As part of this process, they've helped us compile some information for that. Again, publicly, I thank you guys both for that help. It's going above and beyond, as always, for you two, so we appreciate you.
And it's probably only just begun, so hang on tight. Anything else? Well, then move on to K1. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Wall. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Carl. All those in favor signify by saying